Hi, welcome to Wellington. I'm Grace and I ride Shady Lane. And this is Santa Teresita, our barn that we rent for the circuit. And this is our home away from the show where the horses can go get turned out. We have our lessons here and it's a nice little break from, being stuck at the horse show.
And where are you from?
And I'm from New York. So it's snowing up there right now. I'm glad to be down here. I started riding when I was about 8 and I started competing when I was a little bit older, and I've been with Bobby now for about 3 years. So my first ride ever was on this horse, Kodak, and it was my dad's friend's quarter horse in Pennsylvania, and I was actually 3 or 4 then. And they put me on the horse bareback, and it didn't like men. It only liked females, so I obviously happened to be a female. And I was a kid, and she was so gentle with kids. And they walked me around bareback, and she was like a puppy dog. And ever since then, my parents say to them, "Look what you did! You started her in this sport!" So after that, I always loved animals. And then once I was really old enough to ride and go to camp, that's when I started riding. So around 8.
You have a real job.
I do have a real job. It's definitely very hard to juggle both things. I have to pick and choose which shows I go to because I only have a certain allotted time off. But the CEO of the company I work for used to own racehorses. So he's very much aware of the dedication and kind of the obsession you have when you're in a sport like this. So it's really nice. I can kind of bond with him and everybody else really in the office over riding and the different horses that I ride or the different shows, and they're always very interested, which is nice.
Your schedule that you like in a week when you're here?
When I'm here, I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, at home in an office. I have a little desk set up and I'm there. I have a desk phone and I'm logged in just like I would be in the office. And then as soon as 5 o'clock hits, I usually get in my car and run to the barn and try to make daylight, or if the weather is cooperating, I try to make sure I ride before the big storm, and I'll ride her and flat her. My lessons work around that schedule also. And thankfully I show on the weekends in the adult jumpers, so I don't have to take off work or anything for that.
Well, like you don't own a horse, but you've been able to, do it on your own. So tell us about that.
I'm very lucky that I have Bobby and the rest of the team because I was...
It's right behind us.
There he is. Because if it wasn't for him, I would not be able to do it. And you really have to budget wisely. You have to know what you're getting into beforehand. And luckily, I was able to have Shady and compete with her. And, it's really just about budgeting. It's not so much that you can't afford it. You have to come from rich parents. I'm 25, so my parents do help me out, but I'm on my own for the most part. So it's really just about picking and choosing, and especially which shows you go to, because they're all going to be relatively pricey, but I would take this show over any show.
Right. Do you cut back a bit in the summer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's the secret.
Right, yes. I cut back in the summer. If there's any show that I would 100% want to go to, it would be the Hampton Classic. That's what I took Shady to this past summer. So that's kind of what got the ball rolling again.
Okay, so let's go meet her.
Okay. So you'll hear me call her 80 different names. Her real name is Shady. We call her Shady Tree. I shortened it to Tree. Her show name is Shady Lane. She has a bunch of names, but this is her. And she's actually relatively clean. This is so exciting. This never happens. I promise I didn't brush her beforehand. I usually look forward to brushing her as my upper body workout for the day, but I guess I don't have to do that. Yes. She's just naturally cute, I guess, like her mother.
How long have you been riding her?
I rode her 2 years ago in Florida. That was the first time I met her. And the first real class that we did, we won. And it was a low adult classic. I did a schooling class earlier that week, and Mommy was like, why don't you do another class? So I picked the Sunpay class, and I was second to go. So I didn't know. We just went back. He's like, oh yeah, that was good. I'm gonna go do this, and I had to go do something else. We put her back in the stall, and I kept watching and watching the order of go, and I was still first. So I called him, and I didn't have my cell phone. I had to get a stranger's cell phone, and I said, I'm first. He's like, just hang up. Don't say anything. Don't jinx it. Just hang up. And I'm like, but I need a picture if I win. So we ended up winning, and because no one else had, I guess, won the other two classes, I was champion too, just for doing one class. So that's kind of when we realized that she's spectacular. And then I got to ride her again for the Hampton Classic, and now we're back.
She's for sale?
Mm-hmm. And she was leased after that circuit. And then she was kind of bounced around to other leases after that. And now we got her back to try to sell her lease again. So.
And she's owned by Rusty
Holzer, yes. Which is funny because Ashley trains the other dressage girls. So that's a nice little loop.
Yes, everyone's in. Like,
Everyone's somehow connected. Yeah.
6 degrees of HorseJunkiementary.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I guess I have to brush her a little bit,
Yeah,
just in
so
case,
what's
you
your
know.
secret tips for blooming? You gotta-
Okay, well, usually she's really covered in dirt, so I have to curry her first. But apparently she knew she was going to be on camera today, so she decided that I only needed to brush her. But our other groom taught me this, to use 2 brushes instead of just one, which is really exciting. One is like a harder brush, and one is like the fluffy brush. And you'll see, hopefully, she'll show her personality eventually. It's only a matter of time now. She's always very interested in whatever you're doing. She needs to know, she needs to like look.
You don't come to the barn and the horses are all tacked up.
No, unless there's like once in a blue moon, if I, for some reason, am running so late or I have some kind of crazy meeting or my car broke down. But if there's no weird situation happening, I 100% do all her grooming and stuff. She has hind boots. If I could put actual bubble wrap on her, I would.
Yes, she did.
But I don't think that she doesn't, but you'll see. Well, watch, she won't do it. I've kind of labeled her that she walks like a drunk model, because when she walks, she like struts. And she'll, you know, she doesn't really get injured. She just likes to be padded up.
Okay. Now catch your ox on a diagonal. Sit tall. Yep, what are you doing? Oh, that was way too much, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that again. Just change your direction and just not such a bold move at that oxer, especially your first jump like that. Right? Great. Swap your lead, but that doesn't mean to go forward like that. Stay tall. Use your right rein. Keep her straight. Wait. Okay, come to the vertical. Same thing now. Don't all of a sudden go fast at the jump. Wait. There you go. Put your oxer once more. Stay tall. Right rein. Keep her straight. Wait. Good, great. And your vertical. After the vertical, go ahead and do the 4 on the outside. You can let her flow in a little bit. Come on. Whoa. Do that for once more. Let it go there a little bit. You're right there, Wolf. Good. Good.
I like it.
You like the bit?
Yeah.
She's fussing a little bit. That's why she's swapping her lead on you. Fussing.
Grace I is the rider here, 4561. So Gwen next floor 162, area 3, lead support for the spine.
So how did it go?
It was excellent. She jumped amazing. I had one rail, but it was my fault.
Rail and jump off.
A rail and the jump off. So I was clear the first round, and I was actually pretty fast, I think, with my turns, but she knocked one rail, which was my fault because Bobby said don't lean at the last jump, and I did anyway. So when we go into the ring, she acts like she's never been to a show before. That's just how we do things. She gets very excited. Once we get over the first fence, she's pretty much down to business, and the course was pretty straightforward, but on the way down, I pulled my back. So in the warm-up, I said to Bobby, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. And then we, thankfully, obviously, I sucked it up for the course because, you know, Shady's ready, I was ready. And we made it to the jump off. I have my 18 people yelling at me to go and turn and sit up, and you know, I just leaned at the last fence, and we were kind of pitched forward, and she knocked it, but she was amazing.
What's
So,
the height today?
it's around 3.6. They don't really make it. They max out the width, but they don't really make it too overwhelming on the first day.
And it gets progressively harder.
And then tomorrow, right, the speed they keep pretty much the same because it's a speed class, and they usually make it, you know, relatively. This is her personality. This is what we deal with. She is always flapping her lip, and she's always having a good time. So the speed class is usually just 3.6, and then on the classic day they make a little bit harder combinations. And I'm so used to it now, but I know. She doesn't stop. She'll do it all course too. She doesn't stop. It's pretty comical. She's the sweetest horse. Right? She knows when she did a good job. She's mad she had a rail, even though it was my fault. But she tries so hard, so she gets mad when we don't go double clean.